between Donald Trump and Kamala Harris?
Well, I think Congressman Clyburn put his finger right on it. He basically said people are exhausted or tired. I don't remember the exact word he used, but they're tired and exhausted by Donald Trump's chaos, by his weirdness, by his bizarre behavior, and they want to talk about the future. And that is the amazing contrast that we've just seen just flower in just less than 2 weeks with Kamala Harris. She's the new and exciting and younger candidate. The Democrats have always been better at that with John Kennedy and Clinton and Carter and Obama. And we've got this energy on one side, and then this other side you just have insanity. And people need it. And what we've been trying to do is to remind, with the Anti-Psychopath PAC, we're trying to remind people of the craziness and the chaos because they've forgotten about it. A lot of people have forgotten about it because Donald Trump was deplatformed after January 6th. He's been off the radar screens. People haven't been watching his speeches in full bloom as they might now. And now they're saying, oh gosh, I remember. Oh, God, how can we go? I can't do this anymore. Even the people, even Trumping people have to be exhausted by this.
Well, that's a good point because they are, believe it or not. They don't like to speak about it too much publicly. As we know, they're not good at that over the last 6 or 7 years, sort of expressing publicly what they tell us privately. But there is a certain level of exhaustion with all of that on the GOP side. Certainly the MAGA contingent is all in. But you're sort of leveling up the weird argument around Donald Trump at the same time reminding voters, okay, this is what he said. This is what he was like. These are the things that he proposed, whether it was putting kids in cages or whatever. Is it getting under his skin?
Yeah, absolutely is getting under his skin. He issued a Truth Social post attacking me personally for taking out ads that he saw and did not like, and he got angry at Fox News because we put a lot of those ads on Fox News.
Well, they ain't going to turn down the money. So.
Well, they ain't going to turn down the money. Certainly local cable channels won't do it.
Transactional.
And we got it. And just to be on the safe side, so in case he goes into the clubhouse, we did some on ESPN and the Golf Channel. So he's coming in from the front nine to splash water on his face, and he can watch his craziness on television, courtesy of us. So that's what we're trying to do. We're doing that. That's part of. I mean, look, we have 4 purposes. One is to educate the public on his mental illness, his mental disorders, his psychological disorders. 2 is to explain why those make him dangerous. He's a clown, and people laugh at him, and that's part of the reason why they don't take it seriously. Right. So but he is an ill man and should not be anywhere near any lever of power. 3rd is to get the press to talk about what they have consistently refused to talk about. I mean, there's a book written by a former executive editor of the Washington Post. They said, "Oh no, we're not going to talk about Trump's personality disorders." And 4th is to trigger him into demonstrating those disorders. And we've done it. And in his, after he had that disaster in front of the National Association of Black Journalists, he had a rally that night, and he started talking about, oh, these people want to say that I'm cognitively deteriorating, and then he talked about Hannibal Lecter again, about Lecter being a psycho. It's like, well, those are words we were using.
Right,
and, he's got it in if you get in his head about a specific criticism, about something he's sensitive about, and he knows he's a fraud. He knows he's a pathological liar. That's why he didn't want to get fact-checked the other day in Chicago.
Right.
He knows he's not that smart. That's why he always says he's a stable genius and pretends to be the smartest person in the world. He knows he knows he is not these things he has professed to be. I mean, on that point, about sort of projecting this air about him,
I promise you, this is not me making it up, by the way. The Trump campaign is in freefall. Short word would be crisis. Clearly, they have no idea what they're up to. The surprising thing is, they've only just realised it themselves when everybody on the outside could see this from some time ago. But what was happening previously, your likes of CNN and Fox were spending so much time trying to smear President Biden, trying to find something wrong with the Democrats, literally left, right and centre. Trump wasn't being questioned. He was literally carried on with all of his garbage, and the sycophants were lapping it up. Now we have Kamala Harris at the realm, and, well, things are changing. She is up in the polls. And when I say the polls, I'm not just saying some like because they say, oh, well, they're biased. These are Republican polls like Emerson. That's a Republican pollster. He has her up 5 points. You've got out-and-out Republicans. There's like some civil war going on.
Those voters in that anti-Trump coalition from 2020, whether they're Black, Hispanic, women, 18 to 29-year-old voters, that were really down on Joe Biden, and they've come home to Kamala Harris. That's not particularly surprising. It's also worth noting that some of the polling we're seeing is, I think, a reflection of Republicans' failure to press the case against Kamala Harris in an effective way over the course of the past 2 weeks. Republicans have spent all of their time attacking her in ineffective ways, whether it's calling her the DEI candidate, or Mike Johnson saying it was a coup against the will of primary voters, or Donald Trump saying she was Indian before she decided she was Black. A lot of Republican strategists are horrified that their party hasn't prosecuted her record or her positions when she was running to the left of Joe Biden in 2020.
It's interesting. One of the things that I, have paid a little bit of attention to, and probably, political geeks like you and me noticed, and I want to get your thoughts on, is that when you go back and you look at the Republican convention, going into that convention, unfortunately, the president was shot. Coming out of that convention, you had the VP ticket in place, he and the VP in place, but there was no bump. There was nothing there that kind of.
Dave Portnoy is a huge, big, if I pronounce his name wrong, he's a big Trumpy Trump Republican. He's called J.D. Vance a moron. Literally. And then you had apparently the reason that Trump got so annoyed and became so xenophobic, his words, his excuse, is because they wanted to fact check him in real time. What does that tell you? What does that actually tell you? That Trump, freedom, everyone says Trump's giving you freedom. He's even warning Google now. Well, there you go. Trump didn't want anybody fact-checking him in real life. So as he was saying something, as he was telling a lie, he felt so insecure that couldn't have anybody say, well, actually, that's not true. That's why he didn't want to really literally go in front of the microphone. And when he did, he was quite rude. To me, flustered, past the sell-by date, very rude, very ignorant, all of those things, and now it's being exposed for everybody to see. And hey, we're only at the start of August.
Here we have a president withdrawing from the race, and within hours, he endorses a candidate to succeed him, and within 10 days, not only does she gather enough commitments from delegates, and she gathers a record set of volunteers, record amount of money, and here we are, less than 3 weeks later, and she's set an all record. And then she's going to walk into a nominating process, and sometimes next week, she will name a running mate. They are going to go on tour, and they are going to garner the attention of the American people for 4 or 5 days. And then a week after that, she goes into her convention. And the convention is going to certify her as our nominee. She will come out of that convention with another big bump. And I've never seen anything like this. And so I just don't see how our friends on the other side of the aisle are going to recover from this, because Kamala Harris is sucking up all the air in this campaign at the moment.
Well, speaking about your friends on the other side of the aisle, it appears that Donald Trump and J.D. Vance are floundering right now, not really being able to figure out what kind of messaging to layer on top of the first African-American woman of Asian descent as well, to figure out how to talk about her in the context of this race. How do you think that is playing out so far? I anticipate that at some point the switch is going to kick in, but it may be a little bit too late because a lot of damage is being done right now. How are you seeing the way the Republicans are responding to her candidacy?
Well, I see it as very sophomoric. The issues are there. the American people are really looking for a real serious discussion of the issues that this country is confronted with, not just domestically, but internationally as well. And we have a candidate on the Republican side who refuses to discuss issues. He wants to be personal about everything. That wears thin after a while. And I think he has already worn thin on the American people. Mm-hmm. Why can't we discuss what we need to do to bring this democracy in line with the wishes of the American people? The American people want to leave a country for their children and their grandchildren that's better than the country that was left to them by their parents and grandparents. So let's have a discussion as to how we can do that. Why is it that so many people feel that our children are not going to have it as good as we had it? Simply because we can't get a serious discussion going between the two parties as to a vision for the future of our children and grandchildren. And so Kamala Harris talking about the future, she can't get any kind of contest from the other side on the subject. They don't even want to have a debate. Get on the same stage and let the American people see them side by side talking about these issues. I don't think Donald Trump is ready to deal with the issues that confront the American people. He'd rather deal in personalities, and that's not going to get it for thinking people. That may be okay for people who want to have some kind of a comic discussion, but for people who want a serious discussion, that's not going to get it.
All right, Congressman Jim Clyburn.
There's something that happens when a black woman achieves success and especially power. Some people feel the need to humiliate her. We've seen it in our own lives with our mothers, wives, sisters, friends, leaders who have achieved success. They have to overcome this on the way. Trump clowns say that Kamala Harris is a DEI hire, even though she was the Attorney General of California, the largest population state in the U.S., elected to the United States Senate, served on Senate committees, elected Vice President of the United States, and cast tie-breaking votes as President of the Senate. They say she's inexperienced, she's not black, she slept her way to the top. You name it. It's ugly, but it's expected.